Honoring those trailblazers who preceded us is just as important as leaving a legacy for those who will follow us. Greekly Speaking is about highlighting Greeks today who are creating positive change for tomorrow. We hope you enjoyed this episode. Hi, welcome to Greekly Speaking. I'm Eric Tucker, and joining me today is a pair of brothers, Justin Artenant and Aaron Jones. Justin of Phi Beta Sigma Fraternity Incorporated and Aaron Jones of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated. I could just drop the mic right there, but I'm not. We're gonna just go ahead and get a chance to meet these brothers. Justin, this is your second time being on the show, and we're pleased to have you back, brothers. We had a really good response with your previous episode, man, and the good work you guys are doing up there in New Jersey. You mentioned that you had a brother who was also in the D9, and we're pleased to have him join us today as well. But first of all, Justin, let you go ahead and introduce yourself real quick. You know how we do on Greekly Speaking. We got to hear that background, man. We got to know what's up, make sure everything is everything. Tell us about your Greek experience so far, man.
First of all, Brother Tucker, thank you so much for having me back on the platform, Frat. We had a great time last time. We had a good conversation about all the stuff that we were doing at the time. And I'm looking forward to getting to talk to you about all the results and the great work that we've been able to do. But yes, my name is Justin. I am a member of Phi Beta Sigma Fraternity Incorporated of the Iota Chi Sigma chapter, affectionately known as the Sigmas at the Jersey Shore. I am the first vice president of that chapter, and I am also the director of education for the state of New Jersey for Phi Beta Sigma. So yeah, I'm busy. And yes, I mentioned on the podcast last time that I did have a younger brother, my actual blood brother, who went in another direction. He did not come into Sigma. But I don't hold that against him every day. On some days, thank you, brother. Yeah, absolutely. And yes, he came into Alpha, and I'm just so proud of him for the work that he's been able to do in such a short amount of time. And I'll let him go ahead and continue to brag about himself.
All right, brother Aaron Jones, man. I'm just pleased to meet you, man. What's going on? Tell me a little bit about your background, man, and where you come through, and what was that line name and number and all that good stuff.
All right. And I don't usually give my information so easily, but I have to. And my name's Aaron. I came through Alpha Alpha Lambda, which is the Brick City or Norc Alphas. And I came in fall 19. And before I give my line name, because I know that you can see that I'm smiling, but you saw how he did that sandwich thing. He did that sandwich thing where he threw that shade in there. And it was like, oh, he's doing great work, which I am. So I'll get to that. My line name is Optimus Prime. And the reason for it is because of my optimism through everything. And I literally take that with me through everything that I do. And as in doing that, I became co-chair of my chapter's social action committee. And I'm also the state chair for social and civil action. So it's pretty fun. And yeah, that's a little bit of who I am. I'm not going to throw the shade yet. I'm going to wait for a better time. That's too easy.
Oh, there are so many stories we could get into on this one, man, but I love it. Okay. All right. So first of all, hey, so Justin, what was your line name and your number again?
Sorry about that. Yes. My line name was All Biz because, Justin gets it all done all the time. And I'm, of course, a good old number 4 because, again, the 4 is we always get it done. And I think that, it's something to say that, me and my brother, first of all, he came in fall 19. And as he said, he is, working on the state team as well. And me and him rose to state leadership at the same time. So wow. It was just interesting to see how those things kind of work parallel to each other as we begin to have some really in-depth conversations about the organizations. And I'm glad that we get to discuss that with you today.
Okay. And that's awesome. And so Aaron, you were number 4 as well, right?
I was.
So, I am. Okay. I play poker with you guys anytime, man. I love that. So, but you're both on, serving your fraternities and your chapters on a state level. And I think that's awesome, man. That speaks to, for me, your upbringing, your principles, and the way you see the world, and your ability to identify needs and try to take a personal role in addressing that, man. So hats off to you. Aaron, let me just kick it back to you, man. What are some of the community service projects you guys are known for in that chapter?
So the big one is our food giveaway, and we do it every second Sunday of the month. And I I know that I'm on this podcast, but I have to throw it up to the incoming neos. They took an idea and now we're doing cleanups around Newark, like every month, at least once a month. And it's a consistent thing that is just beautiful. I love assisting on that. And I don't love money, but I love the prospect of raising money. And I think that Alpha Alpha Lambda does that phenomenally. For March of Dimes, for even during this pandemic, we created a brotherhood fund. It is exciting. Those are the big things, and that's not getting into scholarship, but I definitely see that as a form of community service as well.
Hey, that's fantastic, man. And I know you touched a little bit on some of the Women's Day celebrations, Justin, that you guys were involved in last time, man. And I was following some of that on social media, dude. I was kind of patterning some of our marketing strategies after what you guys were doing. The presentation was so well, and the fact that when you look at that media, that content, you know exactly what's going on. And our chapter also got engaged on, recognizing Women's History Month with spotlighting, women in business. And dude, it's kind of because that conversation we had with you, it fed into that, man. So I just wanted to, shout you out again. I see you still been working since then. So that's cool, man. I mean, is it like a competition with you guys? I mean, how do you guys, make it? And if it is, it's good because the community's benefiting.
The thing is, first of all, there are 4 of us. We are the 2 boys and we have 2 sisters, and they are not Greek yet. But it is good to have that sibling rivalry, but we all really support each other in all of our endeavors. So it really doesn't ever feel malicious or like a competition. It just feels like great for him. Let me do something different too.
I definitely want to be the best, right? Like when it comes to doing this Greek thing and making an impact in the community through Alpha and like for Justin through Sigma, I want to do more. And when I see him doing anything, I don't hold my ideas back. So I will tell him, like, I think you should do X or Y or Z, because it all is to benefit the community. But that's my older brother, and I'm like a middle child. So like I can't be outshone in these competitions because that's just what it is. But it's all love, and it all funnels back to the community.
Yeah.
And people like in our chapters, like my vice president knows Justin because I talk about him and the work that he does. I tell people about Sigma events because of Justin, and just having that connection. Like, yeah, we're doing separate things great in a great way. But when we come together, it's magnificent and everybody wants to be a part of it.
I want our audience to kind of hear about your latest endeavor. It's called Inter-fraternal Discourse. Tell us about this brand, man, the concept and how you got started.
Yeah, sure. And again, we can go back and forth with pleasantries, but, Aaron knows that no matter what he does, he has my 100% support. But Inter-fraternal Discourse was honestly just a continuation of a conversation that Aaron and I had once he came over. Because I remember, it's funny, Aaron wasn't at all interested in Greek life. And then I came into Sigma, and I remember him asking, like, what is this that you're doing? What is this group of grown men and wearing colors? What are you doing? And then we had our gala, and he came, and when we did protocol and we had everybody stand up, he asked me, he's like, can you introduce me to the other brothers in the room that are not Sigmas? So at first I was like, what'd you just ask me? What? You're at a Sigma function, asking me to go speak to alphas? And so after that, he did his research, and what he realized as a result of that is that each fraternity had something different to offer. And Aaron settled on his light, and I'm glad that he found his light. And Inter-fraternal Discourse really was just an embodiment of that conversation, because what we realized is that me and Aaron, again, we are blood brothers, right? We were raised in the same household all of our lives. Just because we wear different letters doesn't mean that we're no longer brothers. If anything, we should be bonded more tightly together. And so what we realized also was that we were in organizations where seniority and protocol sometimes took precedent over common sense and decent logic. And so, with both of us coming into the organizations relatively very recently, that type of conversation with younger brothers can be very sticky because there's just certain things about the organization that you don't know. But luckily, Aaron and I have both been elevated to leadership in our respective chapters and in our states, but we also have the intellectual capacity to pull this off. And I think that Inter-fraternal Discourse was just us bringing each of the men of the Divine Nine. We picked men that were within our circles from each of the organizations to sit and talk basically about some major issues that we were dealing with. Remember, this was right in the middle of COVID when everyone had time to sit back and reflect on what was going on in their own lives. And we felt that the Divine Nine, specifically the men of the Divine Nine, needed to have a specific conversation about how we could be brought back to the table to have some really serious conversations. And so that's really what Inter-fraternal Discourse started off as. And like Aaron said, we've been able to kind of morph it and change it. And I'll let Aaron go ahead and get his spiel in, because he also saw from a different perspective, and we were able to kind of merge them and bring them together for that platform.
So for me, I definitely want to tack on to the common sense idea. And with me being an optimist, I also have an attitude of just do it, right? You can just do things if you try. And I was in for about a year and we did nothing with the Sigmas. And my brother was this very like prominent Sigma. So like I always knew that we had to do stuff together, right? I would go to his fundraisers, he would come to mine, he came to my penning ceremony. But the conversation on our community and the men in our community just wasn't happening for me. And when we did talk, nothing was being actioned. It was like a Socratic symposium. It was just, it was great to hear. It was like very uplifting. But if we don't put pen to paper and like promise to get these things done together, that was the need that I saw. And that was what Inter-fraternal Discourse filled for me.
If I'm in a fraternity in a D9, why should I get engaged?
So we are all doing different things, right? And we're all in this like competitive space. You can compete and still root for the other person. And when you do that, you find that your crowd gets bigger. The people that you're touching is larger. Project Alpha doesn't teach the same boys that Sigma Betas does. So those families that are interacting with the D9 in this great way are different, like the parents and the siblings. And this network keeps growing and growing. And if we don't come together on a regular basis, the benefits, the financial symposiums that Alphas do, that Kappas do, the survival programs, like from Hurricane Harvey. If we all come together and impact the community greatly, I know that our communities will be uplifted because we have some of the greatest minds on this planet. And it would be so exciting if they all just got together.
I think it's cool that you kind of point that out, because if we didn't come together at any point, we end up in different corners of the universe, oblivious to what's going on in the universe that we share, right? So I love that aspect. Justin, what would be your description of what this is for someone new coming into it, wanting to know whether they should get engaged?
Sure. And I mean, I can surmise it into one word, and that's service. If you are coming into these organizations for anything else, you're in the wrong organization. And, you know, it's funny because yes, Aaron is absolutely right. You know, we have some of the strongest minds, specifically in the Divine Nine, because our organizations were founded on collegiate campuses. These were, you know, movers and shakers of their time in 1906 and 1914. I'll give that reference now because I wasn't going to before. But, you know, in those times, you know, these brothers sat down at a table in a room and said, we need to do better for our communities. And although they were in separate silos, that goes to speak to the time. Now we're all connected via virtual spaces, and we can do service all around the world in a blink of an eye. It just makes sense that if you're coming into these organizations, yes, it does have some level of prestige to wear these letters and to wear this para and to do all this other great stuff, but that's a very small slice of the pie. And to be honest with you, when people ask, you know, why we have this fortitude, right, for service, it really does stem from our mother. To be honest with you, all of our lives, she was a single mother of 4 children, and she had me at 17. My sister, when she was 18, she had 2 children before she graduated high school, you know, and she, throughout her life, let it be known that we have to be of service to others. We have to. And the reason why we know that is because we have been recipients of fantastic service from others. So now she supports both of our events all the time. So she's spending a lot of money at tables and functions, but also she just pours into us as men, and she lets it be known that if you're not serving the planet, then you're not doing your part. And I think that for us, that's why service is so important. But for anyone that's coming in new, if you're doing anything else but service, you're not doing it right.
To me, I feel like service has become not muddied, but difficult. We like in like an interconnected way. We're all from the same community. And I know, like, even if you're from New Brunswick and I'm in Newark, doing a cleanup with your brothers, with people in the Divine Nine, it's a fun event. Like, you get to talk about, and I witnessed this on Inter-fraternal Discourse, and it just made me smile. To me, doing something matters, right? You have to keep your feet moving, especially when it comes to service, especially when it comes to the Black community. Because the moment that we stop, and we've seen this, they take something away, right? We let up a little bit on just voting, and we were real excited about the victory for the Democratic Party. And there's 23 to 36 bills that have taken voting rights away because we relaxed. Because it's always the first thing to get attacked. 1994, the crime bill, that legislation directly impacted the voting ability of the African American community. And we've seen it being like, I don't know the term for it, but it is gentrifying, but it's like targeted, right? So you can see it in like Jersey City, just swept through with over policing. And then all of these investors come in, build the city up. It's a very beautiful city, but Black people have no ownership there. That's problematic to me. That is something that happens when we're not paying attention to each other, and we're just focused in on, let me build this up, which is an important aspect of any group, of any business. But we are a community first, right? I am going to be an alpha till the day I die. I love it. I am Black and gold to my bones, but I was a Black man first. I am a Black man first. And I identify with Black people and this community first. I can look at you now because I see the Sigma, but I can't look at you and say, oh, I don't like him because he's a Sigma. I don't want to work with him because he's a Sigma. What do you need? You're my brother. Like, what do you need? And I think we just need to switch our mindsets so that service is easy. Mm-hmm. That service is the first thing you think about, not the letters.
I think that, on Inter, we call it ID for short. There were so many genuine fraternal moments that we got. Again, it was a pleasure for us to see, as being younger members of these organizations, to see brothers that were having these conversations about. There was one brother who had gotten a gift from some brother maybe like 15 years ago, and he happened to be one of our panelists, and he acknowledged that publicly. He's like, brother, thank you so much. Like, you don't even know how much that really pushed me to continue to do the work. And he was in a completely different organization. Like, why would he have Alpha Para in the back of his car? He's an IOTA, but he did, and he wanted to make sure that he gave it to someone who deserved it because of the services they were doing, and he just so happened to be that person, right? We wouldn't have known that. We couldn't have known that beforehand. But what we realized was, when Black men sit together and actually talk about moderated issues that affect every one of them in the circle, it becomes personal, right? And it becomes personal, but because we have the strength of these organizations behind us, we want to make sure that we can put that into live action. Because what we realize is that the big reason why the Divine Nine has survived the way that it has is because of the sororities, right? The sororities gather together and they bring together all of their numbers. The AKAs raise $1 million in a day whenever it's time to do so, right? That is a major move for the African American population. There are 9 of us. Why is it that we're not able to support in that way? So we decided to have that conversation with the brothers, and from the conversation, and what we did that was different was we had that conversation open to the public. Normally when fraternities talk, we talk within our groups, within ourselves, within our chapters, in our silos. No, we opened up the conversation to talk about these things. And in my particular, and we had to go back and forth with that, because my thought process was, well, if we're asking them to be patrons and to buy tickets and to come support and to come on and come to walks and do things with us, they should be a part of the planning process too. Not into the intricacies of our secrets of our societies, absolutely not. But they absolutely need to make sure that they're at the table when we're making decisions about the service that they're receiving. So that's really what ID was supposed to stand for. And we felt like everyone's doing something virtual. Everyone's doing virtual platforms. Luckily, it's now become a series, Inter-fraternal Discourse. And we've been able to connect brothers from all over the country, from all different levels of leadership. And it's been something to see. And we've seen a lot of different versions of it come out, but it's good to see the brothers having these conversations on an expanded platform. And that's really what the goal of it was. But don't worry, ID is coming back. We've regrouped and we're coming back and we're looking forward to it.
Hey, that's awesome, man. You know, I'm thinking of the Cornel West and the Les Browns and all of these other folks that drop these little philosophical nuggets out there and help you select the proper lens when looking at our community. And and it's refreshing to hear, Aaron, you don't need to have that conversation with Dr. West. You can use your own eyes, your own perspective, and see, man, there's a need. If we're not making an impact, it doesn't matter what you're wearing, right? Because the people that you're impacting are not caring. And as long as you're about sharing, then this thing is going to do what it was meant to do. Most of the D9 members that I've met, I've been Greek since fall '86. They really enjoy having that camaraderie and participating on that level, man. There's a gentleman that was on the show in Iota, man. I was like watching him. I'm trying to keep up with him, and it's just like getting blown out by Usain Bolt when it comes to service, man. He's probably feeding somebody right now, with their chapter.
So you're talking about Candyman, and he was actually the Iota representative on our ID panel. So
there you go. Exactly. Anthony Candelera. I mean, this brother is awesome, man. He's reaching out to us saying, hey, we want to thank you. I'm like, brother, I'm just trying to shine light on what you guys are doing because I want the world to see more of that. I feel good. We got brothers, crossing at 18 and 19 coming through and picking that torch up and just going straight to work. That's what makes me feel good. I was kind of the same way, man. Don't talk about it. Be about it. So for members of the audience that want to learn more and I want to know how to get engaged, what would they do?
I'll definitely send you all the information, but also my Instagram personally is Mr. Artenant is my last name, Mr. Artenant.
I love that name, man.
Thank you.
And I now have to plug mine. I'm sorry. So definitely follow Brick City Alphas. That is our Instagram handle. Go to brickcityalphas.org. That is our website. So my personal Instagram is AaronJ_M.A. That's it. And the MA is for my master's because I got it. I'm very proud.
So I'm looking, I see the work that the Alphas are doing in Brick City. They're doing a great job. I saw their flyers for their Brotherhood Week. The stuff looks really good. So, kudos to you brothers for doing the work up in North Jersey. And I live in North Jersey, so I see the Alphas up here doing a lot of great things. As for us, we are actually having our Father of the Year award breakfast on the morning of Juneteenth. It's June 19th at 9 a.m. at the Sheraton Hotel in Eatontown, New Jersey. We have, first of all, the restrictions have been lifted for indoor functions, but however, we are still maintaining social standards and being as safe as we have to be for sure, but we're exceeding those expectations as well. But we're gonna have a lot of great people in the room. Our Eastern Regional Director, Brother J.R. Reeves, is gonna be delivering our keynote. We have 7 men that were recommended by their families to be honored, and we're gonna be honoring all of them, similar to the way that we did for Her Stride, Her Story. And thank you again, Eric, for bringing that up. That was a wildly successful event. And we thank the 5 trailblazing women from the Divine Nine, 1 from each of them. And then we honored Dr. Shirley A.R. Lewis. She is the president emeriti of Payne College, and that is in Augusta, Georgia. And we honored her with the Kamala Harris Achievement Award, our first ever. And it was phenomenal. So thank you for letting us know that you did see it. And we're glad that brothers are being able to take that energy and put it into the women in their community as well. But again, I know we've taken up a bunch of your time, and thank you again for finding some time on the weekend. Aaron's schedule is crazy, so is mine. But I'm glad we got a chance to sit down and talk, because I'm glad we get to document this stuff because we have so much more work to do.
Hey, the pleasure's all ours, man. And don't hesitate to, reach out if you have anything else positive going on that we can help promote, man. Hey, I'm Eric Tucker. He's Aaron Jones with Alpha Phi Alpha, Brick City Alphas. He's Justin Artenant with Phi Beta Sigma, killing it up there in New Jersey. And I thank you guys for joining us on Greekly Speaking, man. And we hope to talk to you soon.
Brother, thank you so much. A great platform.
Thank you.